The thing is, if you have no income and you're looking for an emergency line of credit, it's really important to have the right strategy, right? Because if you really think about it, no income is coming in, but you're looking for cash, and you have to go to apply. Like you need to get a line of credit from a bank or credit union. So it's really important to have a clear idea of what you're getting yourself into. So let me give you an overview of the whole situation here. So the next time you're thinking about getting an emergency line of credit with no income, you know exactly what to do. So first of all, let me ask you a question. How much do you really need? Because the first conversation, like the conversation should start from there. You need to have a clear idea, boss. You need to know exactly how much you need. I mean, what you want to do here is that you need to put down right now on a piece of paper how much you need. Is it 10,000? Is it $15,000 that you need? Is it 5,000? Because everything will start from there, right? Because the bank is going to ask you, the credit union is going to ask you what you need the money for. Is it for like you want to renovate some part of the house, or do you need to take care of some medical expenses, whatever? Because we're not speaking about a loan. We are speaking about a line of credit, okay? Which means it is actually cash that's going to be sitting there that you're going to tap into as you need it, okay? And so after you answer the question, how much do you need? The next question is, for what? For what? And this is what banks call the use of loan proceeds, or the use of line proceeds. And so those two questions, if you're able to answer them satisfactorily, you have already passed 50% of the test. Okay, it doesn't matter if you have no income or you have no steady income coming right now. I mean, you got to have some kind of income, not just like if you're telling me, well, I don't have income, I have nothing at all, then I'll just say, just go home, because you can't really get a line of credit. You need to have income coming in, at least some kind of income, for you to repay whatever you tap, whenever you actually tap onto the line of credit. So what do you need the money for? For what? Just remember that when we talk about line of credit, whether you want to use it for emergencies or something else, you can use it to fund one-time purchases such as houses or cars. Okay, you can actually use it for home renovation. You can use it for medical expenses, okay? But you also need to think about how much you can repay every month if you were to tap into the line of credit. Because remember, you have no income, so where's the cash coming from? Another thing I want you to really, another question that I really want you to pay attention to is a personal line of credit the best solution for you right now? Because you're looking for an emergency line of credit, okay, but you have no steady income. So the question is that the best solution for you? Or you probably are better off getting a payday loan or an emergency loan as opposed to an emergency line of credit. Okay, by the way, welcome back to the show, boss. I really appreciate having you here. We have a quick convo about emergency line of credit. So I'm just trying to crystallize things for you. I'm trying to clarify things for you so you know exactly what to do. So let me give you the pros and cons of an emergency line of credit so you can decide whether or not this is the right solution for you right now. So when we talk about emergency line of credit or just a regular line of credit, here are the pros I want you to pay attention to. So you have quick access to funds. You have overdraft protection on some accounts. You have competitive rates compared to credit cards. There is no collateral required if this is an unsecured emergency line of credit. And you only pay for what you draw. Like you only pay for the draws you make. Okay, so there is nothing else. Nobody's charging. The bank is not trying to charge you, trying to play games, charging you extra over what you have charged. Okay. So those are the pros of an emergency line of credit. Let's talk about the cons. So you have higher rates than HELOCs. Remember, a HELOC is considered a secure line of credit because your home is used as collateral for the amount you owe. But a personal line of credit for emergencies, especially if you have no income, is considered really unsecured since it doesn't have any type of collateral, right? And this means the interest rates will be much higher. Another detriment when it comes to an emergency line of credit is that interest is not tax deductible. It's hard to qualify with poor credit and or limited credit history. And there is a risk of overborrowing, especially if you are currently going through like some kind of monetary problems, okay? And depending on your situation, your bank or credit union might charge you like very high interest rates. So those are things I want you to think about as you decide whether or not a personal line of credit for emergencies is the best solution for you. Another question I want to ask you, boss, is that you're probably sitting there, you're looking for a personal line of credit, but which type are you looking for? By the way, just want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We're having a conversation about emergency line of credit with no income. Okay, how to get it. What are the key questions you need to ask yourself so you have a clear idea what you're getting yourself into? And so when we talk about the type of personal line of credit with emergency that you are looking for, there are basically three types. Three types of emergency line of credit with no income attached, like no income required. The thing you need to understand here is that personal lines of credit in general are only temporary. So when you apply for one, you will usually be given a specific period for when you may withdraw funds. That's called a draw period. You will enter a repayment period if you still have an unpaid balance on your personal line of credit when the draw period ends. You will have to pay off any remaining balance during the repayment period. However, different lenders may have different terms for repayment. Okay, so the various types of repayment may include the following. So you have three main repayment terms. So you have a draw and repayment period. So basically, this is the most common type of repayment used for an emergency personal line of credit with no income. Typically, monthly payments are required during the repayment period. That's number one. Then you have the balloon payments. So this type of repayment requires that the full balance is paid at the end of the draw period, which is, if you have no income, you have to think about whether or not this is what you want. And then you have a demand line of credit. So while not very common, some lenders may set up actually for you an emergency personal line of credit as a demand line of credit. That means the lender has the right to ask for a full repayment at any time. Okay, so those are things I want you to really pay attention to. So when trying to set up your emergency personal line of credit, no income, understand that your lender's repayment terms may be different from one to another. Okay, so please be sure to make a repayment plan so you have a clear idea of what you're getting yourself into and what you're trying to really get as a business decision here, because business decision or personal decision doesn't really matter. Let me now talk to you about how to apply for an emergency personal line of credit with no income. Okay, one thing I want to say right off the bat is that if you have no income, you need to have a high credit score. You need to have a high credit score. I really want to overemphasize that, because the thing is that no income, basically you probably have not steady income. So income is coming, but it's not, you don't have a day job. You don't have a 9 to 5. So right now you're kind of struggling. You are trying to make ends meet. Okay, that's fine. But there are three things that you are going to pay attention to if you want to qualify for an emergency personal line of credit with no income. Number one, your payment history plays an important role. So you need to have an established history of timely payments that basically demonstrates to the lender that you are a responsible borrower. Okay. Number two, your credit score. So see, the thing is, you cannot have bad credit if you're looking for an emergency line of credit with no income. No. And even to have a fair credit score, your chances are actually getting slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. You are more likely to get approved if you have a good credit score or high credit score. Okay, because again, the whole thing here is that your credit score reflects your financial condition and likelihood to pay back debts, right? Speaking about financial condition, that's the third criteria that a lender will look at before approving you or denying you for an emergency line of credit with no income. Okay, so your financial condition can include your debt to income ratio, cash on hand, and net worth, which reflect your ability to pay back debts. Okay, so you got to be in a situation where you are constantly embellishing those three criteria, those three ingredients: payment history, credit score, and financial condition. One thing I also want to say here is that maybe the fourth thing that could be really important also is your bank statements. So your cash inflows and cash outflows. So even if you don't have steady income, you're still getting some cash coming into the bank, and it'll be nice to see the frequency and the amount of those cash transactions. Now, let's talk about how to prove some type of income. Because you have to be able to prove income in some way, shape, or form. Even though the emergency line of credit is not asking for income, you're going to have to show the lender that, hey, listen, I'm able to repay whatever I charge on the line of credit. But by the way, I want to quickly remind you, if you just joined us, that we're talking about emergency personal line of credit with no income. We're just trying to explain things to folks so people have a clear idea what they're getting themselves into. So how do you prove some type of income? You got to prove income anyway, right? So there are types of income that count toward an emergency personal line of credit. So you have eligible income sources for the line of credit include self-employment income, bonuses and commissions, part-time jobs, tips. You have investment income. You have a retirement, government annuity, and pension income. You have social security income. So basically, what I'm trying to say here is that even if you don't have income, like a steady income, you're still able to prove to the lender that, hey, listen, I can qualify for your line of credit. It's just important that you have to ask yourself, where am I deriving revenue from? How am I able to survive? You got to have those elements really ready when the lender asks you about them. You also need to be able to show the lender that, hey, listen, you've done your homework, you understand how this whole thing works, and you're really willing to provide all kinds of paperwork. And the bottom line here is that you just need to make sure that you have done your work, and if this is if you should get the loan, you will get the loan. If it's not the right time for you to get the loan, you're not going to get it. Doesn't matter how much you prepare, you're still not going to get it. So this is why we say that you do your best. You've done the research. You do your best to make sure that you get the data, that you are able to talk to the lender in a very responsible manner, and to explain to the lender that you really need to have some kind of approval here. And if they can approve you, that's fine. If they cannot, that's fine also. But again, yes, what you do is you gather all the paperwork, you gather all your revenue paperwork, so that you are able to get some kind of certainty that they'll basically look at your file. Now let's talk about, where do you get the personal line of credit for emergencies, especially if you have no income? The thing here is that when we talk about getting an emergency line of credit with no income, you need to have a clear idea which institution where you have the highest probability of getting that emergency line of credit. Traditionally, personal lines of credit are offered by banks and credit unions, although nowadays some online lenders are entering the market. But as of the date of this show, your best bet is still to reach out to your bank, or let's say banks in general. This could be community bank. This could be so any kind of bank will actually do. Not a problem. Okay. One thing I need to say here is that you want to start always with the bank where you're currently banking, like not the bank where you're currently banking, the bank where you're currently having a relationship. Okay. What do you currently have your a checking account or a savings account? Starts there. Go to a branch, have a conversation, explain to the lending manager, to the loan officer, what you need the emergency line of credit for. Don't believe that they will not going to give it to you simply because you have no income. There are other ways to actually qualify. I just told you that there is a variety of income sources you can justify if you are looking for a personal line of credit with it. If you have no income, an emergency line of credit. Okay, so there are a lot of banks that actually can actually take care of it. You have Wells Fargo, you have a PNC Bank, you have TD Bank, you have Citibank, you have US Bank, you have Regions, you have Key Bank, you have Santander. Okay, so with Wells Fargo, you can qualify from 3,000 all the way to 100,000, and you can actually actually pay the line of credit over 5 years. You have PNC that offers you $1,000 to $25,000, it's really flexible, the repayment. You have TD Bank, 10.5% to 11. Like the loan amount is 20,000 to 50,000. Okay, you have a 10-year draw period followed by a 10-year repayment period. This is one of the most flexible, I would say, a repayment for a personal line of credit. You have Citibank that offers you $1,500 to $25,000. The term is flexible. U.S. Bank, you have $5,000 to $25,000. You have Regions that offers you $3,000 to $50,000. You have Key Bank that really will bless you with a $2,000 to $50,000. You have Santander that actually will approve you from $5,000 to $35,000. With Santander, you have a 5-year draw period followed by a 5-year repayment period. So what I'm trying to say here is that you need to start somewhere first, okay? Start at your bank, and if you can't actually get an emergency line of credit with no income at your bank, you may even try your credit union, for example. Speaking of credit union, let's talk about credit union. Okay, you never know. Check with your credit union to see if they have emergency line of credit with no income. Okay, again, when we talk about no income, we're talking about no steady income. You got to have some kind of income. Okay, you got to have some kind of income, whether it is some kind of side gig, retirement income, social security, spousal support, and whatnot. There has to be some kind of income. So here are 4 credit unions that provide personal loans and lines of credit for emergencies, even if you have no steady income. So you have Navy Fed. So Navy Fed, the APR on their line of credit, you're looking at 7.50% to 18%. So we're looking at $250 to $50,000. So they usually have a personal line of they usually have a personal loan, but you can convert based on your geography, based on your state of residence. You can convert this loan into a line of credit. Okay, so this is kind of interesting, and there's a late fee of $29 if you don't pay on time. Okay, and you also have the next one, and you have Alliance. So Alliance Credit Union actually it has a loan that you can convert into a line of credit if you qualify based on your geography. So basically, the line of credit amount goes from $1,000 to $50,000. You can get this even if you don't have steady income. I mean, when it comes to credit union, of course, credit unions, you need to have a relationship with them. You need to be a member, and it's just better to apply for this line of credit at a branch. Okay. The third credit union I want to share with you, that's First Tech Federal Credit Union. So First Tech FCU is kind of interesting too, and they have loans that can be converted into lines of credit if you qualify based on your state of residence. Okay, so here we're looking at $500 to $50,000. Okay, this is really interesting, but overall it's a really wonderful institution. We love First Tech, and the last credit union I want to share with you is PenFed. So PenFed is a wonderful institution, and they used to have a line of credit. They used to have lines of credit. Even nowadays, they do have lines of credit, but in very select market. So nowadays, they do mostly have personal loans. So if you happen to live in an area where they still have that personal line of credit, you could qualify for it. Okay, so we're looking at $600 to $50,000. And so this could be a solution for you if you're looking for an emergency line of credit and you have no income. So give them a call, go to a branch, you never know. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. I was just talking to you today about an emergency line of credit with no income, how to get it. So we spoke about how much you need. Okay, is a personal line of credit with an emergency the best solution for you? Which type of emergency personal line of credit do you really want? We spoke about how to apply for an emergency personal line of credit with no income, how to prove some type of income. Okay, eligible income sources, like you have employment income, you have bonuses and commissions, part-time jobs, tips, investment income, retirement, government, annuity and pension income, social security income. and work to get a personal line of credit, an emergency personal line of credit with no income, either at banks or credit unions. Thank you. I'll speak to you another time, but until then, remember, stay marvelous.